Disney just spent $200 million on Wish, and it flopped. Meanwhile, two brothers in Australia made a show in their bedroom that got 400 million views for free on YouTube. But here's the thing. Most people think Disney's biggest competition is Netflix or Pixar or maybe even AI-generated content. They're wrong, because the real threat to Disney isn't what you think. It's a tiny indie studio that's rewriting every rule Hollywood spent a century building. And by the end of this video, you'll see why this could make traditional animation studios completely obsolete. But first, let me show you exactly what Disney is missing. And if you want to stay updated on how the animation industry is changing, hit that subscribe button right now, because we're diving deep into the future of entertainment. So who is Glitch, and why should you care? Two brothers, Kevin and Luke Lerdwichagul, started making Super Mario 64 meme videos in their bedroom back in 2011. Yeah, you heard that right, meme videos. The kind of stuff you'd scroll past at 2 a.m. when you should be sleeping. Fast forward to 2023, and they dropped the amazing digital circus. Within 30 days, 100 million views. Within a year, nearly 400 million views, making it the most viewed animated web pilot in YouTube history. And they did this while Disney was canceling shows like The Owl House, a critically acclaimed series with a massive fan base, because it didn't fit their brand strategy. Here's what you need to understand. Glitch isn't just making videos. They're building an empire that operates on completely different rules than Disney. Rules that give creators total control, keep costs low, and deliver exactly what audiences are craving. And by the end of this video, you'll see why this model could make traditional animation studios obsolete. But before we talk about how Glitch is winning, we need to understand why Disney is losing. And it all comes down to one thing that's been broken for decades. Remember when you were a kid, staying up late to catch your favorite cartoon? That feeling of ownership, like this show was made just for you and your friends? Disney used to create that magic. But somewhere along the way, they forgot the most important rule. Give people what they actually want, not what a boardroom thinks they want. Here's how the traditional studio model works. A creator pitches an idea. The studio buys it. Executives give notes. Producers give more notes. The creator loses creative control. The show gets watered down to appeal to everyone, which means it appeals to no one. Then, if the show doesn't perform in the first season, canceled. Dana Terrace, creator of The Owl House, lived this nightmare. Her show was one of Disney's highest-rated animated series. Critics loved it. Fans were obsessed. Disney killed it anyway. The official reason? Its serialized format didn't fit Disney Channel's brand strategy. Translation: we don't trust our audience to follow a story. So when Kevin from Glitch reached out to Dana and said, "Do you want to make whatever you want, no restrictions, just complete creative freedom?" what do you think she said? Yes. And what she created next is exactly why Disney should be worried. Dana's new show, Knights of Guinevere, dropped in September 2025. And within the first 5 minutes, it's crystal clear what she's doing. Disney is literally the villain. The series is set on a planet divided between a Disneyland theme park called Park Planet and the impoverished surface below. It's a pretty blunt visual metaphor for capitalism's exploitation. The pilot got 10 million views in a few days. But here's what makes Glitch different, and this is crucial. They give creators 3 things Disney won't. First, complete creative control. No executives meddling with your vision. No notes about making it more family-friendly. You make the show you want to make. Second, you keep your IP. At Disney, they own everything. At Glitch, creators retain ownership of their work. That's unheard of in traditional animation. Third, no exclusivity. Glitch shows air on YouTube for free, and they strike deals with Netflix and Amazon. Creators get the best of both worlds, massive reach plus streaming legitimacy. This is why creators are jumping ship. Think about it. Would you rather spend 3 years pitching to Disney, hoping they don't cancel your show after 1 season, or would you rather work with a studio that trusts you and lets you keep what you create? But creative freedom is only part of the equation. Because Glitch figured out something about audiences that Disney completely missed, and it's the real reason their videos go viral. There's a massive underserved audience for what I call anti-Disney animation. And no, I don't mean anime or adult comedies like Rick and Morty. I mean mature Western animation that isn't afraid to get dark, weird, and emotionally complex. Murder drones. One of Glitch's biggest hits is about robots brutally killing each other. There's genuine gore, dark humor, and emotional depth. The pilot alone pulled 80 million views. The amazing digital circus explores existential dread and psychological horror. Characters are trapped in a digital purgatory, slowly losing their sanity. It's not exactly Saturday morning cartoon material. These aren't shows you watch with your 5-year-old. They're aimed at teens and adults who grew up on animation, but aged out of Disney's target demographic. People who want serialized storytelling, emotional stakes, and themes that aren't watered down to appeal to everyone. Disney built their empire on family-friendly, 4-quadrant content. Movies where good triumphs, evil is punished, and everyone learns a valuable lesson. That model works. Disney's the most successful animation studio in history. But it also requires constant self-censorship. Executives cutting queer storylines because they might make certain audiences uncomfortable. Sanitizing scripts so nothing feels too dark, too specific, too real. Glitch doesn't operate under those constraints. They just ask, what story do we want to tell? And then they tell it, unfiltered. And this brings us to the thing I mentioned at the beginning, the thing Disney is completely missing that could change everything. Remember when I said Glitch started in a bedroom? That wasn't just a cute origin story, it's the entire point. Modern animation tools, Unreal Engine, Unity, real-time rendering, have democratized production. What used to require hundreds of artists and massive budgets can now be done by small teams working remotely. Glitch uses these tools to produce studio-quality animation at a fraction of the cost. For Ralph Breaks the Internet, Disney used Houdini's advanced rendering techniques and spent months on complex simulations for scenes like Slaughter Race and Ralphzilla. The tech was cutting edge, but it required massive infrastructure. Glitch achieves similar visual quality using game engines and hybrid workflows. They iterate faster, experiment more, and don't need a render farm the size of a warehouse. This is the real threat to Disney. The barrier between professional and independent animation is disappearing. You don't need $200 million anymore. You need a great idea, talented artists, and the right tools. And when you combine that with YouTube's global reach, more people watch YouTube on TV than any other streaming platform in the US, you have a distribution model that rivals traditional television. But there's one more piece to this puzzle that makes Glitch's model truly unstoppable. Here's how Disney makes money. Theatrical releases, streaming subscriptions, merchandise, theme parks. Here's how Glitch makes money. AdSense and merch. That's it. No investors, no shareholders, no studio executives demanding returns. Glitch is completely self-funded, which means they answer to no one but their audience. And their audience is loyal. Because when you release everything for free on YouTube, you remove every barrier between your stories and your viewers. You're not asking people to pay up front. You're not gatekeeping content behind subscriptions. You're just making great stuff and trusting that people will support you. And they do. Merch accounts for about 80% of Glitch's funding. Fans want to support creators who respect them. This is what Disney doesn't understand. Modern audiences don't want to be sold to. They want to be part of something. Glitch built a community. Disney built a corporation. And in 2026, community wins. So let's bring it all together. Glitch Productions started with 2 brothers making meme videos in their bedroom. Today, they have 16 million subscribers, billions of views, and they're attracting Disney's own creators. They did it by giving creators control, keeping costs low, and serving an audience that traditional studios forgot existed. The future of animation isn't in Burbank. It's in a bedroom in Australia, where 2 brothers proved you don't need permission to create something people love. You just need a great story and the courage to tell it your way. But here's the question that should keep Disney up at night. If Glitch can do this with a small team and no studio backing, what happens when more creators realize they don't need Hollywood anymore? Because that's not a hypothetical. It's already happening. Trust me, you won't look at Disney the same way again. And before you go, if you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment below telling me what you think about Glitch versus Disney, and share this with someone who loves animation. Let's spread the word about how the industry is changing.